Hi, this is Ross Payton here with Role Playing Public Radio. This is RPPR, episode 60. It's not a cliche.
That was beautiful, Ross.
That was, Tom, that was your idea.
That was my idea, but I was going to see if you wanted to actually do the voice, and hey, presto, you did.
See, it's a take on It's Not a Tuma from Kindergarten Cop. So,
yeah, it's probably I'm pretty sure Arnold didn't expect that to be one of the most famous lines he'd be known for.
Yeah, of course, he listens to this show, so I'm sure he'll email us.
We love you, Arnold!
Yes.
I'd also like to point out we started this show without a single voice test.
Yeah.
That's how sure we are of ourselves.
Yeah, or I just don't care anymore, Ed.
Oh, well, Ross does have the sweet, sweet gray pallor of apathy now.
Yep. Well, I also have to edit the Unspeakable Oath episode 2 as before I get to this. So I got a lot of podcasting editing to do, slaving over a hot garage band for hours and hours. So anyways,
and Ross is not appreciated.
I am appreciated. I've been nominated for an Emmy Award.
Oh, here we go.
Yes, now we're in the news. As you listeners may know, I have written 2 books for Arc Dream Publishing, Curriculum Conspiracy, and more recently, Road Trip, a campaign for monsters and other childish things. And this campaign has been nominated for Best Adventure at the Emmy Awards, which is pretty much the biggest tabletop role-playing game awards in the industry. I mean, there are the Origin Awards, but those are for retailers, and those are...
Not for the actual creators.
Yeah, these are actually nominated by veteran game designers and writers and other people of that in the industry.
And Ross is a motherfucking nominee.
And I am a nominee. Many were submitted, few were chosen. Of course,
Ross is not going to let this go to his head.
Yeah, no. The actual award ceremonies are at Gen Con itself, which of course we will be there in person, in the flesh, so you can. It's where the elite meet to greet each other and
eat meat.
Yes, those of you who like the Life in Hell cartoon. So there's an online voting segment to determine who the awards are to go to. There's the nominations. Now there's the actual voting. Now, every year, Paizo, they have a very dedicated fan base with their Pathfinder role-playing game, and they tend to win. So why don't we do an upset, all of you listeners out there. If you're listening between now and July 24th, 2011, please go to any-awards.com/vote and vote as Monsters and Other Childish Things Road Trip as Best Adventure. Now vote that as number 1, and then vote whatever else in order of conscience, if you even heard of them. You can leave everything else blank. Just make sure you vote Road Trip as number 1. Now, of course, as a writer for Arc Dream, I must also ask for the support of they have several other products in there. Delta Green, Targets of Opportunity, which is also up for Best Adventure, even though there are no actual adventures in it. It's just a source book of bad guys for Delta Green. So,
but you must support them too, but not as much as Road Trip.
Yeah, obviously. Get your priorities straight. You can put them in number 2.
And if Ross wins the award, he promises to jump a shark with a motorcycle.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, if I win gold, not second or third place. There's a second or third place, I believe.
If Ross wins
silver,
gold.
Bronze, yeah. If I go home with the gold, I will jump over a shark with motorcycle. Was that it, Tom? Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. I've never driven a motorcycle, so this will be fun.
Well, then you'll want to see this, kids.
Yeah, get my autograph now before it's too late.
Come on. If it doesn't go right, you can be the weird, horribly disfigured guy that lives by himself.
Yeah,
and cranks out mysterious books.
There we go. Yeah,
and
that'll pay the bills.
Anything that the neighborhood kids hit into his yard is his for eternity.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's a very imaginative world you have there, Tom.
You like that?
What color is the sky in your world there?
The color of a staticky TV, Ross.
Oh, nice. Call back to Neuromancer. So in other news, of course, I'll be there doing a seminar about zombies, 1,001 uses for zombies in role-playing games. And I'll be running 2 games of Road Trip, 1 game of Wild Talents, Zombies and Other Cape Cannibals, which you may have heard the playtest on our actual play podcast. Tom is not doing anything, but he will be there to listen to you, and you can touch him and get his autograph.
See, my plan is, what I'm going to do at Gen Con is whatever God takes me to do.
Oh, yeah?
I am his instrument.
You, okay. A little creepy there.
I thought so. That's what I thought.
So yeah, I will also say my book, Zombies of the World. Now we're offering free shipping in the U.S. So if you live in the United States, you can get the book shipped to you for a mere $18.95, or the posters. So take that up. We'll have some copies for sale at Gen Con, of course. You can get me to autograph them and all kinds of stuff. So yeah. Anyways,
if you want my autograph in there, I'll even write something disparaging about Ross in there.
No, you had nothing to do with that.
I didn't, but some people might like to see me rip you one.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, you probably have better hand. I mean, I'm sure you have better handwriting than I do.
know I do.
Yeah. I have the hand.
Here, I'll be there to translate whatever you write. It's like, excuse me, Larry. Oh dear, this is a very ancient, stupid dialect.
Yes.
Here, let me translate.
It's a problem when you learn Aklo first, instead of English.
Well, that's your dad for you.
Yeah. So enough of the news. So we'll hope to see you at Gen Con and order Zombies of the World PDF.
And vote for it.
Yeah, and vote for Road Trip. NES-awards.com/vote. So, cliches. What are we talking about there, Tom?
Well, this came to me almost as a vision, really. Thinking back to my early days of playing D&D.
Yeah.
This would have been a D&D, of course. This was before 3rd Ed.
Yeah.
And,
Second edition.
Yeah, the 2nd edition.
Yeah. Fucking Thyko.
God damn.
Armor class was better the lower it went. -10 was the best. Anyways. Up was
every
down.
time everything was upside down then.
I know.
And every time I think of Thaco, I just kind of have this violent psychotic flashback.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about one of the earliest games I played of it, which was in high school.
Yeah.
My freshman year of high school. So I was but a lad of 14.
Okay.
And I wasn't actually quite experienced enough in gaming to know at the time that this dungeon I was in was following all the cliches of the dungeon crawl.
Right.
And what I mean, and following them faithfully, with no difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know why my mind suddenly forced it back. Hey, you did this when you were 14. I'm like, oh, mind, why did you tell me this? But it got me to thinking, it was almost like it was doing a checklist. Like, all right, cliche is like, all right, there's that one's there, the prisoner. The paranoid search for traps. Check. It's on down the list, and of course, with no feeling. Just it was almost. Yeah, this might as well have been like a management seminar.
Or were you having fun? I mean, you just said you'd never had.
Well, that at the time I was, because I was 14 years old and an idiot.
Right. The cliche is fresh the first time.
Yes, but there's of course, and there's a reason why they're cliches.
Because they work.
They worked at one point.
Uh-huh.
But now looking back at it, I realized if I was ever in a game like that now, I would have just walked out.
Right.
Or, well, first I would have said, is this really what we're doing?
Yeah.
Up is down, black is white. It's like if you don't conquer your fears, my fears will conquer me. That's what you were going to say.
Fear is
right?
the mind killer.
Yeah,
I see.
So it got me thinking about that, and thank God I happened across you.
Yeah,
and some other people.
Yeah,
but you're the ones here, so you're the actual one that's here. So I can say, Ross has taught me all about cliches and as how to avoid them, and it was great. Thank you, Ross, for that.
I mean, I just do nothing but cliches. I mean, everything is so typical and average. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, but we pretty much show up. We show up here like it's like a management seminar.
Yeah.
There's some stupid corporate video that shows exactly what we're going to do, and we just do it.
Yep.
It's a team building exercise.
I know. We don't record that part of the actual play, but there's
your minds would explode.
I know. There's PowerPoints and shit, man. It's fucking,
Oh, we all wear suits.
Yeah. There's quarterly reports, TPS reports,
whatever the fuck those are.
Yeah, exactly. But
that's why I thought of it is, I actually, looking back, is what I thought. There was probably a decent, fun game in there.
Right.
That I could actually enjoy today.
Right.
Even using the same basic setup, but it's simply a matter of dealing with the cliches that were present.
Right.
And hence the idea. So, there you have it.
Okay. So, yeah, we talked about this before we started recording of, what do you do with cliches? So we're going to focus on the cliches of dungeon crawling in particular and show you some ways to start thinking about cliches and role-playing game cliches in new and interesting ways.
And if you're a gamer, you know the cliches.
Yeah, so we're just going to go over them briefly. I think the first one is obviously the searching for traps. You know, like you're talking about that. You know, there's, it's such a cliche. It was parodied in Gamers.
I'm sorry. As naturally as a master thief, I would be crawling on my hands and knees, searching every square inch of the place for traps.
Right. So the question, and then of course tons of dice rolling for what? Nothing.
Pretty much, yeah. In fact, if I recall from that particular dungeon, there had to have been at least over 100 rolls searching for traps. Like every single tiny room was at least 5 different rolls. Because we would search first. We would search the doorway.
Yeah.
Then we would search search just inside the room. Then it would be in the center part of the room. Then it would be on whatever we were going to search for in the room. And then finally, when we actually found what we were looking for, we had to search that. Minimum of 5 per room.
Wow.
And we did this with every single room.
And this wasn't just like rolling 5 dice in quick succession. It's roll 1 dice, wait for the GM to interpret it. Yeah. The GM describes what he does in very careful terms.
Yes.
So that's like 2 minutes for each dice roll. So that's like 10 minutes.
But the fug of the thing was, I don't think the GM actually took the time to put traps anywhere.
Yeah.
I actually remember in that game, in over 100 rolls for traps, we found 2.
2. That's 2%.
Yeah, 2%. And of course, you want to guess what kind of traps they were?
Pit traps?
Yeah, let's just say that if it's something you saw in Raiders of the Lost Ark, you would be correct.
Was it a pit trap and a boulder trap?
No, actually, it was a pit trap, and it was the arrows in the wall.
Oh yeah, that was the other one. Yeah. Wow.
Actually, I think he was truly wanting to work in the weight counterweight trap somehow. Mm-hmm. But none of us really wanted to, try to see how much the thing we're supposed to steal weighs. And
now that's an interesting thing because in Indiana Jones, it's a very fun, very intense moment of the movie.
Yeah, it is.
But the question is, how do you translate that into something that's just as fun and exciting in a gaming terms? Because in gaming terms, that's just a simple skill check usually. I mean, that's actually an idea for another episode. At some point we should talk about how do you translate ideas and make them just as fun from one medium to another. In that case, I'm not sure off the top of my head.
And of course, what I remember also was for the arrow trap.
Yeah.
At no point did he say you also see little holes on the wall.
Yeah, so he conveniently mentioned,
Which, they only showed up after we had failed to notice the trap, apparently. But, and of course we were rolling, to, it's like, okay, we also, I don't know, it wasn't spot hidden, I forget what it was in AD&D.
It was, the thief had a personal skill to detect traps.
So our thief was doing that.
AD&D had some pretty horrible game mechanics. I'm sorry, people, but it did.
It does.
The retro fans, yeah.
You know how much it pains me to agree with Ross.
Save versus wand, save versus breath weapon, really? All those different saves. Oh, my God.
Yeah. But no, of course, the holes were never there until they needed to be.
Right. All right, so the question is, that's the cliche. How do you make that fun? So the endlessly searching traps. Now you had your way, which was to change a few details, right?
Right. One of them was actually one of the things I thought of was just have some traps.
Have more than 2%.
Yeah, actually, and vary them.
Yeah.
But you can have traps, just don't make them obvious.
Right. I mean, there's actually some really good books out there, RPG books that have really clever, devilish traps. Grimtooth traps. Pretty much all the Wizards of the Coast modules have some interesting traps in them. Paizo, obviously, Pathfinder has some good traps. There's if you go through the material, there's tons of great traps just waiting for you to use. People already thought this stuff up.
Yeah, kick the door and wait a minute. That is not traditional fire.
You don't have to. Yeah, exactly. You don't. That's not any traditional fire. That's a YouTube video. We'll have to.
We'll link to it.
Yeah.
In case if
you're interested in Amnesia: The Dark Descent. But what we're trying to get at is, there are a ton of there's a lot. This is something. Again, that I like advocating, which is not to reinvent the wheel. Don't do
the
work
wheel
that's
works
already
fine.
Don't reinvent it. Don't do work that's already redundant. There's tons of great material out there that will save you a lot of time and effort. And a lot of these traps that are really cool, like Grimtooth traps, a lot of the best ones don't even have magic involved. They're just physics. They're just traps based on clever engineering. So use that shit. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, hell, going back to Raiders of the Lost Ark, Yeah, you're right. It's watching those traps. You're like, oh my god.
Right. Because again, you're not a veteran dungeon crawler or whatever, and you're like, it's really interesting the way it's presented.
Yeah, like he has to walk around the tiles that would fire the arrows.
Yeah.
And of course, there's I think it's Molina, the guy that played Dr. Octopus in the Spider-Man 2,
right,
is the guide,
right,
watching him just the whole time, just like freaking the fuck out, like you are watching it for the first time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, my idea is to take that cliche and reverse it. Now, so how do you reverse having to spend endlessly searching for traps? Well,
could I hazard a guess here?
Yeah.
Know where they are ahead of time?
Right. Exactly. Like, give the players some sort of in with the dungeon. Like, they find the trapsmith who designs them, or some secret book or tome or map that details.
Or have some cool, Mission Impossible scene. He says, like, as anyone getting here will have to pass a series of very dangerous traps.
Exactly.
In the entryway, there's a laser field.
Now, the question is, of course, how do you make that? Well, if the players know where the traps are, how is that dangerous? Well, the idea then is design a dungeon that is dangerous and interesting, except it's not based on knowing where the traps are or not. It's how to get past them knowing that they're there. They're still really dangerous because, one, the dungeon will have occupants in there, and two, those occupants will they'll know about the traps, or they would have been killed already by the traps,
and are used to fighting around them.
They're used to fighting not around them, with them. So again, some of the clever examples I've seen, for example, there's a druid trap where there's a monster called the Shambling Mountain in 3rd edition that's, I believe, immune to lightning. So what you do is the druid would set up a lightning word trap that would just blast people with lightning, and the Shambling Mound would just fucking attack them while they're dealing with the trap. So so you're like, all right, there's a lightning trap. All right, go disarm that thief so the rest of us can get past him. The thief's like, all right, I'm gonna go up ahead and disarm him.
No, God, there's something that's immune to critical hits.
Yeah, and
sneak
lightning,
attack
and lightning. Yeah, so like the thief's screwed, so you have to rush in and fight the thing.
But then you have the lightning.
And then you have the lightning. So it doesn't matter that they know it's there. They're still, have a tough challenge to get past.
Well, it would make, and also you could use that to make it's a normal monster fight much more interesting.
Right. So
or imagine like a I can imagine. I think we've actually done this, like a tactical fight with the map out, with where like there are. Actually, I think I forget what game it was, but I think it was you running it.
Yeah.
Actually, it was a weight sensitive pit trap that was designed to go off with a certain amount of weight. But we were fighting, I think, kobolds, so it was not, the trap would not open for someone as light as a kobold,
right?
But would for someone as heavy as
one
of the player races.
I want to say that's the New World campaign or the Thieves Guild, but I'm not sure.
I remember that is because we had to because now on the tactical map we have to watch where we're walking.
Yeah.
And you also, other clever thing I do remember. No, it wasn't the New World. This was this was back in just normal 3.0.
Okay.
But I remember also that. I forget what I was going to say, but I'll just keep going on is and also you had to I never remember. You kind of had it where if you watched where the kobolds were moving, you could see them trying. You could actually, if you're watching it, catch them where they were trying to lure you to attack them.
Yeah,
as firing a very small bow and arrow at you.
Yeah,
trying to get you to come into melee range with them.
Charge me. Yeah. Nice. So there you go. You take the boring cliche and you reverse it, and thus you have something new and awesome. And the players will be like,
and good God, a boulder trap in the middle of a fight. If you don't find that awesome, you're something wrong.
I think the players are going to be blown away just to the fact we know where all the traps are. What madness is this?
Now, of course, with us, if you did that, we would, of course, go, fuck, what's he going to do? Whenever you do us a favor, quote unquote, we're like, oh, shit.
Yeah. So
I'll always remember that running the night shift game.
Yeah.
Get whatever guns you want. Like, cool, can I get like an M4 carbine with an M203 clipped on? Like, yeah, shit. Everyone at the same moment. Oh, damn it.
Yep. This is Delta. This is Call of Cthulhu.
Why do we get all these guns?
Yeah. What are we going to be needing?
Why are we in a mall with all these weapons?
Yeah.
I just have to ask, out of subject, just 1 second.
Yeah.
So if I would have requested something ridiculous, like a, the quad rocket launcher pack. Would you have said yes?
If it was an actual real weapon.
Yeah, it is. Like,
okay.
Remember the movie Commando?
Well, again, it's Commando. I don't know.
No, the weapons were at least real. But remember when the stewardess stands up in her car?
Yeah.
With the...
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, no, I know what it is. I just didn't think it was an actual
is.
weapon. Okay. I thought it was something they just made up for the movie.
No, it's actually real.
Because, man-portable miniguns aren't a real thing, Tom.
No, I know that.
Because the recoil would just...
Ross.
Also
Ross,
the ammo.
I know.
Okay. Sorry, Jesse Ventura, you couldn't carry that much ammo for a minigun because it's a minigun. Anyways, so next on our list would be the prisoner. Another cliche is the prisoner. Now, usually the cliche is one of three ways. One, he's weak, wounded, dying, whatever, and so when you find him, he gives you a cryptic bit information, and then he dies.
Or you have good players. All right, so I'll be carrying him out on my back the whole time.
Right,
trying to keep him alive because
right.
That's the good thing to do.
The next one is that next cliche is that it's actually an ambush of some shape-shifting monster like a mimic or a doppelganger.
Rakshasa.
Or Rakshasa, yeah, some sort of a deception. Or the third one is that he's evil. It's not an illusion, but he's just evil and untrustworthy and goes to betray the character some way.
He just has "I will betray you" written on his forehead.
Might as well, goatee and all. So
doing the hand thing.
Well, I mean, once you uncuff him, yeah.
Yes. Actually, he's like, could you uncuff me? I really want to do the evil hand thing.
Right. So the question is, how do you
shake this shit up?
Yeah. So one of the ideas I had was just a red herring where he says something, but it's totally useless. He's either legitimately crazy or more likely just like a peasant who doesn't know anything.
It's like, what can you tell us?
I can grain mill,
or if he suddenly, or if he has slightly more brain cells, realize you might not let him go if you don't have something they want. There's a big door ahead, and you need 3 keys.
Yeah,
and I know where the 3 keys are.
Yeah, exactly.
If you'll just let me go.
Yeah, exactly. So he sends them on a wild goose chase just to survive. So that would be interesting. The other thing, of course, you came with the idea.
Yeah, it's like he doesn't want to leave.
Right. So
this could happen. I think in a number of ways. Like that's something I think you did do this in the New World.
Yeah.
It's like it's a guy that's down with vampires. He's on the verge of becoming one himself.
Right.
And wants to be there. Like
right.
no, fuck it. It's like, dude, it's the 3rd night. I die this night. I come back. You are not fucking my plans up.
Yeah, exactly. Another related thing I could think of would be religion. Like, I'm chosen to be the sacrifice. I'm going to save my village from the demon god. I don't want to, but unless you can kill a demon god, I
but you see, to save my people, I have to have my heart cut out and then be able to kiss it before I die. And by God, my lips are going to touch my own still beating heart.
Yeah.
And I will fight you if you try to stop me from doing that.
Exactly. Other reasons would be he's.
And of course, knowing Ross, he'll be like, I'm also a 20th level fighter.
I wouldn't do that.
Yes, you would. Ross, you are a monster. You would.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
You would.
So you come up with the reason why he would want to stay, and then either possibly fight the characters, or mislead them, or even maybe he does help them. Maybe he could be hiding out and just doesn't wants the players to leave. So that's a complication. And then finally, the third one would be he's actually useful. I mean, a prisoner that actually turns out to be
he is a 20th level fighter.
Yeah, and he's like, yeah, sure, I'll join you. Give me a sword. I'll fuck this shit up. I'll.
It's like, can you use one of these? Like, fuck yeah, let's go kill some shit.
So,
it's like, hell, I'm a paladin. You can even have all the treasure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, which
I'm a monk with a vow of poverty. I don't need anything. I'll just. I don't even know why I was a prisoner. I should have easily broken out of here and gotten vengeance.
So it was a test to see if you worthy heroes were worthy of my training and presence.
Nice.
I know you, Ross. You've trained me well.
Yes. So another thing would be, finally, of course, it would be that you're talking. Then, of course, the next cliche would be treasure. Treasure is obviously.
Well, why else do you go into a dungeon?
Right.
To do good? Fuck that.
Yeah, saving the world.
Like princesses in another castle. Like, next person that says that to me is going to get killed.
Right, exactly. I don't think we've had many princess rescues in our games, or even any.
Well, we've had rescues, not princess rescues.
Right. So
we've had, usually it's rescuing people that we really don't want, That seems to be a theme. We tend to rescue people that we don't personally really like, but it is necessary for our plans to have this person alive.
Poor Tom.
And we all look at you with the same look as you just sit there behind your Game Master screen, just your fingers steepled, just glaring at us, smiling.
Yep. Yeah. I don't know what you're talking about.
It was the same look you had when you had that undead plant thing trash talking us.
Yeah, that was pretty fun.
And we loved it so much that, all right, damn it, Ross, you're cool.
I think that was episode 42, 41 of the campaign. No, 39, I believe, of the campaign. Yeah, by the way, our New World campaign ended, and it's 144 hours. So if you love D&D, listen to the whole thing.
If you don't love it, if you know someone that hates D&D...
And we didn't even mention that we released the Ruins of Lemuria PDF, the fourth in the New World campaign.
Well, that son of a bitch is out.
Yeah, it's out. So
download it to your heart's content.
Yeah, download it, read it, comment on it, send it to your friends.
Draw crude pictures on it.
Well, it's a PDF.
You could print it out and draw multiple copies with multiple weird crude pictures.
Yeah, you could. You could. I can't stop you from doing
this.
This
is America, damn it.
It is. It is. Yeah. So, of course, the one thing about treasure, they expect gold or whatever. So the treasure, going back to the previous cliche, could be the prisoner. Now, of course, that may be the cliche, the princess that needs to be rescued. But
this could also be the son of a local merchant lord,
or it could be someone or the merchant lord himself who would be willing to hand over a deed to land or something like that, or just has valuable information.
What do you like? What do you have for it? He's like, what can you do for us? I have a diamond the size of my head. I will give to you if you get me out of here.
One idea would be as an increased challenge, is to make the prisoner a bounty. And the monsters took him, for the bounty, but the players can then redeem the bounty. But then they have a surly prisoner who's probably very dangerous because there's a sizable bounty on his head. So
so you're saying that so this guy killed 47 people over a period of 3 weeks?
Yeah. And he's not an adventurer. He didn't loot their bodies. He must be crazy.
He must be crazy. He must have ambushed peasants. He killed militiamen.
Yeah. So
okay, and we are the fourth team you've hired to go after him. the others which have come back with just their pinky fingers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Good.
I like this plan.
Yeah. I'm a big supporter of it.
Let's do it.
Of course, another thing would be the bounty of someone who's ideologically charged. A political bounty. He's the true heir to the throne, and the players can either support him or turn him into the evil, duke to get a big reward. Or neutral, like they don't want to get involved in politics. Like the heir to the throne is neutral. Make it more of a Game of Thrones kind of thing, where everyone's kind of shady and morally ambiguous, and there's lots of sexiness and violence. And
thank you, HBO.
Yeah, basically.
Thank
you. We do shout out that show, but I assume everybody in our podcast has heard it or listened or watched it already, because
I'm not going to do a shout out, but I also purchased the first season of Rome.
Oh, okay, yeah. So there you go. Anyways, but
of course, I think when it comes to treasure, really, I think the one that most people, even those that don't really play D&D, think about when you hear treasure in a dungeon.
Yeah,
it's usually the big pile of gold or whatever with the dragon on it.
Yeah.
Usually sleeping on it, and is a very, very light sleeper.
Right. So the question becomes stealth or trying to fight the dragon. Now, so again, how do you take this cliche and make it interesting, to make it new to the players?
Well, yeah, I think you had the first idea.
Yeah, which is obviously he's a deep sleeper. Which means you can take everything, and it's no problem. In fact, as long as you don't attack him, he won't wake up.
It's in fact, we need the gold under him. Just lift up his leg. There we go. Come on.
So the players would be really great about this is your players do this. At first, they're suspicious. They're like, "What's the catch?" And you don't tell them, and then they get like, "Oh my god, free gold! Ah, let's take it." And then you wait 3 sessions before you the dragon does finally wake up, figures out what happens, and then teleports to the player.
Which would be a great scene. Just imagine the dragon yeah. Oh, no fucking way. I am going to kill so many people for this.
So the players are 3 sessions in, they've already spent all the gold, and then they're like, oh, fuck. And they're like, "Why did you tell us this would happen?" It's like, "What? I can't give you, give them enough rope to hang themselves." In other words,
Like,
and
you wouldn't even have to have that. Just imagine the dragon shows up at the local kingdom, like, "Yeah, hi. I don't know who did it.
Yeah.
I know they came from here."
yeah,
It's like, so here's the deal. You're gonna find out who took my shit, get it all back. You have a month to do it. Otherwise, I'm gonna come here and raise this whole fucker to the ground.
yeah. Then the players have the choice of either trying to get all the gold that they spent back, or getting the hell out of this kingdom before they get caught.
Then, of course, they're gonna have the death of a whole kingdom on their hands.
Exactly. So, yeah. So great stuff. So now the second idea I had also was taking the idea is that the dragon wants to sleep on his hoard. He's psychologically obsessed with it. He's addicted to it. He needs his gold. His magic is derived from the gold. Blah blah blah.
It's like Requiem for a Dream with gold.
Right. So my idea is to say, what if that gold is what's keeping him at bay, keeping him contained. That's what it is imprisoning him. And so the players, once they take all the gold, then he wakes up and then attacks them. So that's sort of a modification on the deep slumber thing. Because then you realize, oh, we've just awoken a giant-ass evil red dragon. And shit's going to go down. So there's
Yeah, I had another one, of course, kind of along the lines of that little scenario I just threw out. But
Yeah.
I got one like a dragon wants a hoard and hires you to get him one.
Yeah.
And because he couldn't offer them gold because so you're having us to go get gold for you and bring it to you, and you will pay us in gold.
Yeah.
There's a middleman in here if you see that, but it could be you have the dragon like no, I will offer you something way better than gold.
Right.
Like some awesome epic artifact or something.
Right. I mean, he is a dragon. He could just shear off some dragon.
Parts of himself.
Right, or of course, as a dragon, you could set it up like an Ocean's 11 thing, where it's like a heist, and he's like, "I know where there's a big score, but I need help. I need mortal help." And
the dragon accompanies them in human form.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be awesome.
So you have Ocean's 11, but your boss is a dragon. So
and suddenly the risk of failure seems so much greater.
Yeah, because
it's not it's not some casino owner who's going to be after you if you don't get it.
It's a dragon.
And they tend to fuck shit up.
Exactly. So, these are obviously just a few of the small cliche of the many thousands of cliches that are out there in tabletop.
Yeah, well, we haven't even gone into like
modern or whatever else. In actually my seminar for zombies at Gen Con, I will be talking about cliches of zombies and how to reverse them and how to breathe new life in them, so to speak.
Well, like Call of Cthulhu, I don't know how many times I've heard it's like you're staring at something that can't be described. Would you try?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. So
I understand that you're trying to describe something beyond time and space, but you kind of have to actually try.
Right. True. So what are you going to do?
No, I'll say that you do a good job at that.
Well, I try, again, focus on more physiological things.
Yeah, physiological, and you catch glimpses of this and eyes and teeth and
right. Well, the way I see it is that the characters perceiving that monsters are now full of fear and adrenaline, so they're going to have a very blurry, distorted view of the monster at best. So, yeah, good stuff. So, I think that gives you guys a little idea about cliches. If you have any comments about what kind of cliches you'd like to see reversed or challenged, we'll talk. Email us.
We'll talk about
or
this.
Post comments on the site.
Whenever you email us, we'll do the same thing for our pre-Gen Con episode.
Sure. Yeah, we'll do another episode pretty soon. We just did this episode really because of the innies. Thank you, innies.
It encouraged Ross so much. It encouraged me to come up with a topic for the first time in a long time.
I know. Congratulations. Although not a letter. But we have something better than a letter.
Well, the thing is, right now we still have how can I write a letter when we have more of what we're about to read?
Yeah, we'll read another excerpt from Darren McLenn's and Sartone's RPG.net review of Fatal. So, and then of course we'll have shout-outs and anecdotes and all that other good stuff.
It'll be so awesome.
Yeah.
You won't even know what to do with it all.
I know. And our previous excerpt, we began talking about Fatal and how fucked up it is. So, and did I forget to mention that this fucking thing is 900 pages long? Fatal is 900 pages long. This is why I summoned help from Jason Sarton people.
Which will be played by me.
Which will be played by Tom. I'm playing the other guy.
Yeah, thanks. Now watch. By the end, I'll probably have to summon someone else to help me. We'll have Justin Bacon or Scott Lynch or Alyssa Carey or some other poor bastard down here to write the closing paragraph and talk to me out of climbing out a tower and shooting random basement dwelling losers. Killing potential fatalites. Oh, and one other thing that has changed since our first go-around is that I probably wouldn't request Scott Lynch's assistance. See, he has since become a published fantasy author, and while that doesn't necessarily raise him above the rest of us mere mortals, I'm happy for him. Back on point, it wouldn't be right to interrupt his efforts to inject some desperately needed non-suckage into the fantasy genre just to deal with all this stupidity. But yeah, it's 900 pages long, and you can hardly turn one page without seeing something that's desperately stupid, or sucking or screaming, "Look how cool and historically accurate and huge dicked I am," because I'm terrified you won't notice. You can see the bind we're in.
This is from the second page. For instance, assume you're an adventuring knight who has just fought his way to the top of a dark tower and you find a comely young maiden chained to the wall. Some may choose to free the whimpering wench, some may others free her to hoping to win her heart instead of seeking affection. Some may talk to her, see if they can collect a reward for her safe return. Then again, others may be more in negotiating freedom for fellatio. Some people may think she has no room to bargain and take their fleshly pleasure by force. Others would rather kill her, dismember her young cadaver, and feast on her warm innards. This is stuff I did not write. This that was Fatal, by the way. This is, oh my god. So basically, Fatal is the date rape RPG.
It's also the cockfruit, attacking turret, and of course, gay butt-fucking ogre RPG, but one thing at a time.
It's like an express train full of things designed to hurt your mind. Just when you think that it's finished running you over, that last train car of stupid starts receding into the distance. Another one hits you, grinding another chunk of brain cells beneath its wheels. And no rules for dating are not, and no rules for dating are not included. Rape? Yes. There's not really a whole lot of ways I can get around this. Fatal as a whole is your chance to stop being the good guy. Start being the soulless rapist that you and your tiny clique of brain-dead morons knew they could be. You can come home from a long day of being shunned by anybody with a soul, wipe the pepper spray from your eyes, scuttle down into the cold concrete of the basement, and engage in what amounts to a verbal circle jerk with a clique of people just as terribly broken as you are.
I'll cut in here to say that while being a brain-dead rapist is an important part of the Fatal experience, there are two further aspects that make it the visible from space pile of festering assosity that it is. 1. Juvenile ideas that even the Senzar guys wouldn't have been too embarrassed to touch. You know, like magical fumbles that cause clones to spawn from your cock, or make you shit constantly, or make you start anal fisting your target while trying to bite your ear, or make you recite stupid lines that were probably ripped off from some metal songs every time you cast a spell. Or magical ingredients like vaginal yeast or the cunt pipe of an elderly virgin.
Oh my god.
2. Rules so mind-bogglingly stupid and complicated that you'd beg for a no-holds-barred Rift Cinnabar crossover instead. No, this can overlap with the juvenile ideas, like with how likely you are to a critical hit someone's clitoris, or the magical fumble that makes your nutsack fall to 10D 1,000 inches. We can only presume it's not labeled for the next 3 days. But like I said, one thing at a time. While we're still on the second page, by the way, check out that first sentence. Welcome to a fantasy medieval role-playing game that focuses on realism and detail whenever possible, without sacrificing fun. Emphasis mine. Later, when you've seen Hall's idea of realism and detail without sacrificing fun, you'll be invited to laugh bitterly with me.
You know, it occurs to me that most games of Fatal are probably played with only one hand. Says, ow, 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 fuck my brain, ow.
Remind me not to go down that path again. Not so fast. You forgot to picture them being the only gamers who have to wipe off their dice when they're done. I bet nothing but nothing will jinx your dice faster than leaving someone's semen on them. Hell, when it happens, the Fatalites probably laugh and shout, a la Sormon, "You will taste man juice." Ugh.
Stop putting images in my head that I can't get out later except with a bullet. So here's the thing. Vampire is a game that can also be classified as a date rape game. You're a vampire. Mythic creature has been sexualized by about 300 years worth of literature into a romantic creature, yet as a vampire, you're stealing part of people's bodies without their permission every single night. You're eventually going to kill one of them when you get a little too hungry one night. You don't necessarily want to, but you need to eat. And you know why Vampire is the superior game by far? Because the game forces you to find out what you'll do to survive. If you have to drink someone else's blood in order to live another night, will you do it? Will you drain some bum on the street, or stalk somebody for 3 hours and take only enough to survive? Or will you subsist on dogs and cats? Every time you stab somebody in the throat with your fangs, drink the blood, even if you're not thinking about it in the game, you're essentially risking somebody else's life for your own. You can say that you're a vampire, you have to do that, but nothing's stopping you from seeing the next sunrise except your own sense of self-preservation, even though you're already dead. Yes, you are playing a vampire in an RPG, but you can still kill yourself in the game and make it a valid in-character choice.
Hate to cut into Darren's pathos, but the thing I remember most from Vampire the Masquerade was how you can chainsaw wax someone with 8 successes and still barely hurt them. Fucking dice pools. Oh, hush. But yes, sadly, even in this area, Vampire is way superior to Fatal.
Let's see. Yeah, it's in the background, but it's there. You have to make the decision in Vampire. It's an adult decision. Do I kill to live? In Fatal, it's date, rape, and killing, and cadavers are all cool. Yeah! Thank you for showing me the way. Spray paint huffing and social retardation. Also, misogyny. We forgot to thank misogyny. Maybe there's some subculture that's into this, judging from the Fatal theme song, which sounds like the Cookie Monster chasing a drum kit being pushed down a flight of stairs. I guess that thrash metal or speed metal or metal or whatever the fuck they call it is nowadays.
Incidentally, the Fatal theme sucked enough to make Darren beg me to kill him. If for some reason you aren't interested in suicide, I would recommend not listening to it. Hell, I would recommend not paying attention to Fatal at all, but here you still are. You've got problems, people.
See, even the most extreme of this stuff, say Cannibal Corpse is designed to take a stage persona, say screw you world for a few hours, and then being regular people again. It's born out of showmanship, like an extreme form of professional wrestling, sans the body slams. Fatal isn't a piece of showmanship. It's one of the diaries from Seven, a document pretending that's perfectly normal and healthy and winds up painting its authors as terribly, terribly maladjusted.
During the Fatal Flame Wars, Hall really did have that psychotically calm John Doe demeanor in his posts. It might actually have been impressive, but any chance for that went out the window when he never defended any of his bullshit arguments or claims when McClanahan, Patrick Chipman, and everyone else started questioning him. Well, and when I couldn't help picturing him in a lavender bunny suit as he typed. Okay, no, that's not originally what I was picturing him doing, but it's a sanity-preserving substitute.
And now I'm on the second page. If you want another good example of how the game's authors seem desperately to lie to themselves, and by extension the reader, you can check out their claims that they're not really sexually deviant. They're just including it for the purposes of completeness. For example, the information in this game does not represent the real world views of the Fatal games, nor does it extreme violence or extreme sex condoned by Fatal games. Instead, the information is included for completeness. And this weak bullshit might fly if it weren't for the fact that they're openly drooling the possibility of people extorting sexual favors and or raping a helpless woman not 1 page before. This is declaring that you did not kill that man 1 minute after killing that man.
That is a trick statement anyway. Remember that Fatalites lack the necessary balls to even approach women in real life. Their supposed non-endorsement of rape violence stems from cowardice, not, hey, it's just a game. But hey, if you don't want to play dirty by personally attacking the Fatalites, just consider this. Okay, they don't condone rape, misogyny, and 500-foot nutsacks. They're just really proud that the overwhelming focus Fatal puts on rape, misogyny, and 500-foot nutsacks makes it so much more realistic and historically, mythically accurate than every other RPG available. Doesn't really work, does it?
Or, even better, for instance, the detail of violence may exceed that of other role-playing games, as crucial damage may explicitly explore the destruction of many body parts and internal organs. Except that that's what the guys at Fatal know about medical science and or the human body is so small as to actually suck away from the collected body of medical knowledge. There are entire anatomy texts that are now blank because the knowledge has been drained away to fill the terrible wound that Fatal made.
Those of you who are upset that Hall took a giant piss on anatomical science can take heart in knowing that he also soaked everything that's ever been written about art, medieval history, and RPG design while he was at it. Meanwhile, Testostocles forbid that just fucking describing an injury isn't any better than Fatal's lame-ass crucial damage charts. I mean, really.
For example, number 2% belly button. Opponent's belly is hacked, though no critical organs behind it. The small intestine may 70% chance spill forth. If it does, the sight of this causes the opponent to need to pass a health check at TH50 or be stunned for 2d4 rounds.
Yeah, having your small intestine spill forth sure can be distracting. And yes, any it's just a flesh wound jokes you want to make here are entirely appropriate. It's not a life-threatening critical.
Yeah. Further, role-playing situations that accurately represent mythology are likely at some point to include rape, molestation, or encounters in brothels, or possibly situations that deviate more from societal norms. Enjoy this first mention of, well, it's because it's historical and we're not in trouble. As much in life, the authors of Fatal use history and mythology as they use any other source. Go through it for the dirty parts, ignore everything else, and claim you're entirely accurate. And while there are myths that deal with rape, most of them Greek, molestation, brothels, visits, giving birth to a clone through your cock doesn't appear in any of them. Nice try, though. A way too thorough breakdown of the creative process.
This would be a good place to rag on the 1,000 hours of research that the Fatalites are ever so quick to bleat that Hall did when he shat out Fatal. While many of you have been understandably skeptical of this figure, I can easily see it. In fact, going from Fatal's end product, Hall's research probably went something like this. 20 hours, playing AD&D and thinking, I could do so much better than this. 0.4 hours, hitting head on a toilet and becoming absolutely sure of this. That's
24 minutes of hitting your head on the toilet. This is not a mathematical error.
2 hours, being rejected by fuckable women. If you're willing to expand the definition of fuckable to include the words within 4 drinks, then the final research result can be considered well over 1,000 hours. 25 hours, huffing paint and listening to death metal. 0.2 hours, composing the Fatal theme while still disoriented from paint huffing. 20 hours, thumbing through every medieval history book that has the word prostitute. 5 hours, accidentally flipping through Roman or biblical history books and either A, mistaking them for medieval history books, or B, failing to realize that as human society very drastically over the course of history, writing Fatal in a way that portrays society being pretty much the same everywhere all the time and calling it historically accurate is a bad move.
And 0.4 hours, mistaking a policewoman for a prostitute. 10 hours, flipping through anatomy and medical texts while drunk. Yeah, I think you could make a health check to survive if your sternum was driven into your heart. Way cool. 2 hours, repairing punctures in Sexpot Annie. 5 hours, flipping through kid mythology books and watching Hercules, The Legendary Journeys, and realizing that with the help of a large skull-shaped bong, that Zeus and Odin must have been total ass bandits. And they just left that part out. And mythological means just whatever the fuck you want to make up. 10 hours, reading up on non-cognitivism and ether theory and physiognomy, which is, of course, figuring out people's... Physiognomy, yes. Which, an aside, that's reading the bump... No, that's phrenology.
That's phrenology.
Yeah. Sorry. Without realizing they're not exactly respected ideas anymore. And then 900 hours, circle jerking with Turin, burnout, and psychotic misogyner of death.
I did not personally witness any of this, of course, but it's the combination of events that would most plausibly result in Fatal.
By the way, did I mention the book is 900 pages long? Because I'm going to be bringing it up as the review progresses a lot, because you bastards owe me, and you still do.
Yeah, what he said. I never thought I'd see actually wanting to play Imagine or Palladium, but now that I've gone through Fatal, damned if I can't even remember what sucks so much about them. Fuck owing, gentle readers. I'm coming for your young.
What makes Fatal especially fun is the droning, obsessive tone of its rules section. For example... Finally, observe that when the sub-abilities and abilities are determined initially for a character, the abilities are determined for young adults. After the sub-abilities are described and the tables presented, the aging effects are illustrated, which must be referenced throughout the character's life. The last chapters detail how 2 abilities, physical fitness and strength, may be increased through persistent exercise, and also an alternate rolling method is presented. There's that not English again, where when you rewrite it for review, you find yourself restructuring the way that you speak English. Sure, you may have been able to write and or speak it before, but then you read something like this, and you find yourself taking sentences out into the shed at midnight, butchering them, burying parts of them in your backyard, and redistributing what's left over the original document as a warning to any other proper use of the language in the book.
On the bright side, Fatal is arguably not as mind-numbingly written as Aria or Multiverser. On the you haven't been huffing butane side, that's much like saying, okay, so I slid naked down a giant greased razor blade, but at least I'm not the guy who was thrown into a vat of fire ants. In both cases, either outcome is totally stupid and painful, and the party responsible should be gang-beaten with cattle prods until the god of bitch-slugging finally comes down and says, alright, I think he's had enough. Except that in the most obnoxious case of all these, the god would suddenly add, "Oh wait, this was for writing Fatal, wasn't it? Here, let me recharge those for you." Yes, I'm actually saying that writing Fatal is more worthy of a cattle prod beating than throwing someone into a vat of fire ants.
See, try this. These abilities only represent your characters at the start of your life, so they will change as he ages. Charts for this are elsewhere. Later on, we'll detail how you can increase your strength and physical fitness, as well as an alternate method of rolling dice. Also, since you're reading Fatal, you should be aware that this game sucks. See? English. Is that so hard?
Needless to say, there aren't many editors, copy editors, proofreaders, or non-retards in Fatal's credits. I'm not convinced there are any human beings either, but we won't get into that. Instead, I'd rather take this moment to rant that this is a great example of why editors are really damned important if you're writing an RPG. They're not just good for correcting typos, but making sure your writing technique does not end up sucking all that is ass. If you're not the best writer in the history of the universe, don't end up like Fatal. Get those editors.
So check this out. There's 5 primary stats, right? But in a nod towards the residents of insane asylums who smear their walls with their own feces, each stat has 4 substats which determine vital, important information, like, say, enunciation or kinetic beauty. So you actually have a stat that determines how well you can speak and how pretty it looks when you move.
Would this be a bad place to mention that you have to randomly roll all 20 sub-abilities? And the roll is 4d100. Have it and subtract 1. Then you go back and calculate each primary ability by averaging all 4 of its sub-abilities, which is really cool when you consider that primary abilities are rarely, if ever, used by the rules.
Which, in a revision, he upped to 10d100 divided by 5 minus 1. So he fixed that up real nice.
What?
The best line of the review.
So basically, saying that this game should be burned is an insult to fire.
You can go now if you want. You have just read the best line of the review. And with that, we conclude another excerpt from Fatal. A review of Fatal.
We shall continue more later.
Possibly. And we're back.
How's your brains, people?
Yeah, I don't know if I don't think our listeners will be able to stand any.
Well, in your comments, if you want us to continue, we will.
Or if you want Tom's letters to come back. So I know a lot of you love those. So we'll see if.
But no. I think
you got to inspire Tom. You know.
I know. Well, people needed to hear that.
Yeah,
they did.
They need to. Tom needs to hear.
Yes,
from
Ross,
you.
we got it. Thank you. Thank you, Ross. Moving on. Moving on. Peace be with you. Now move on.
He was too lazy to write a letter.
I have things going on.
I know.
I work.
All right.
Yes.
So we're going to do shout-outs first. First, I would like to mention some that are from the RPPR community. You know, we have a very active community on our message boards, and one of our users, Harold Gold, I believe, is the username. Anyways, he used to be an employee at BioWare, and he set out and started his own company to do iOS games. You know, iPhone, iPad, iPod games, and he is underway of making. He's just released the first trailer for his game called Emissary of War, which is an RPG where apparently the main gimmick is that it has a plot and story and story decisions. So,
get the fuck out!
I know, like the average thing has been like Infinity Blade, and you know, very very simple, very grindy games. But apparently this I've seen the trailer. We'll put a link to the trailer and the website. So take a look. I have an iPhone Touch or not iPod Touch, and so I might get it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. So
Who knows?
Next up is another forum user who is a teacher, college teacher up in Wisconsin, and he has done a very interesting thing. He's written an a collaborative post-apocalyptic dystopian novel called Calpus on a wiki forum using his students. His students all contributed to this fictional setting where they all wrote characters and items and locations and things like that, and they all put it on this wiki. So it's got a lot of really interesting little tidbits, and so it's a hypertext novel. You click it, you don't read it as a strict linear thing. I've just started it. I've a lot to absorb. There's 20,000 words at least so far. So if you like apocalyptic dystopian stuff, and you should,
I mean, God,
yeah, Jesus, you should check that out. So, Tom, you had some. Or?
Yep. First one, I have an internet vidya.
Yeah.
It's simply just called RE Old Spice.
Yeah.
It's essentially Cthulhu doing a parody of the Old Spice commercials.
Yes.
And that's really all that really needs to be said about it.
It's animated.
It's animated, and Cthulhu with six-pack abs.
Yeah. So.
Which is not true. He was mountainous and
flabby. Flabby claws.
Are you going to try to tell him that he needs to lose a few?
No, I'm not.
You're going to be too busy screaming.
Yeah. I'll be dead.
Yeah. Eaten.
Probably. Speaking of Cthulhu, I would like to mention Cthulhu Saves the World. It's, I know we probably mentioned before on the podcast. It's a small RPG set in the style of the old Final Fantasy games on the Nintendo and Super Nintendo. You had the little fight menu, you had that kind of thing. But the basic premise of the game is it's now available for the PC on Steam. So it's only like $2.50. So get it. Jesus Christ! I mean, it's $2.50. I put a few hours into it, and the basic plot is that a powerful priest puts a curse on Cthulhu, causing him to lose most of his power. So he can't, destroy the world. He can't do what he wants to do. So the only way he can break the curse is if he becomes a true hero. So he gathers up a band of unlikely misfits to prove that he's a true hero.
So he can destroy the world.
Right. But he has to save it first. So.
Well, yeah.
I've only got a few hours into it. I've already fought Nyarlathotep as a boss. That was fun. And yeah, it's kind of fourth wall-y. It breaks the fourth wall quite a bit. There's a lot of meta humor in it, and it's a fun, quick little RPG. There's no grinding really involved. I just plow through it as fast as I can, and I've never had to stop and level up excessively or whatever. So,
right.
You heal completely at the end of each fight. Your magic points don't renew though, so you have to watch how often you cast spells or whatever. But yeah, it's a really fun game.
Nice.
So. Let's see here. You had an...
Yep, my next two are actually DVD box sets.
Yeah.
From the History Channel, both of them.
Mm-hmm.
The first one is The Presidents.
Mm-hmm.
It's this thing they did earlier, I think it was late last year or maybe early this year.
Yeah.
It was basically this whole thing they did on the presidents, the lives of all of our presidents up to W. And it's real. I really like is I think the little trivia tidbits they reveal about each president.
No.
Things you might not know, or people that might think, oh, the 2008 election was just the dirtiest ever. No, it wasn't. No, it was not.
Yeah.
You get some of those elections of the 1800s. Yeah, those were pretty intense.
I bet.
Of course, Teddy Roosevelt giving a speech with a bullet in his in his chest. Gave a whole speech and then left.
Yeah.
That is a man.
Pretty much.
You don't even compare.
No joke.
The other one, there's another box set called Conspiracy.
Yeah.
Which is, you want to guess what it's about? Conspiracies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what I like about it, it doesn't assume any conspiracy is correct.
Right.
Just tells you that various conspiracies that have come out, like, they like TWA Flight 800,
mm-hmm.
The Jack Ruby's shooting of Oswald.
Mm.
They just tell you the various conspiracies and the evidence that have been gathered from each one.
Mm.
And they always also do, like in the case, Ruby was just a lone nut job.
Yeah.
TW 800 really was just an accident.
Right.
And then let you form your own conclusions.
I gotcha.
I like that.
Nice. I like
it.
it.
And it's also, but it's really great. They're both like $14 at Best Buy.
Okay.
So you get a lot of program for only $14.
Yeah. No. Sounds like a good deal. Finally, I would like to mention something that you might not be able to buy anymore. I think they're reprinting it. It's called SVK. It's a comic book written by Warren Ellis, but it was printed with ultraviolet ink, and it comes with an ultraviolet little camera light. And so, well, some of it's a normal ink, and some of it's ultraviolet ink. You have to use the light to see the hidden ink, the ultraviolet ink.
It's mainly like dialogue and.
Well, I don't want to spoil it. I don't want to spoil it because it's about augmented reality and very interesting spy near technologies, and it's a Warren Ellis one shot. So I special ordered it from Britain. I had to pay with shipping is about $30.
Didn't you say they also had to do some kind of security clearance thing?
They had the people who did it. Well, I didn't, but the people who printed it had to get special security clearance for the ultraviolet ink. So that was kind of neat. The forwards by William Gibson, he of Neuromancer fame.
He is the one.
Yes, and it's just a really cool idea, and it's a very cool little comic. So I think they're going to reprint it and put out another edition. So yeah, if you like gimmicky comic books,
Check it out.
It's a fuckload better than a tin foil cover or a foil cover or whatever. I mean, it's got an actual little gadget with it, and it's integrated in the story extremely well. I will say this:
if a vampire stops you at night, you have an ultraviolet light there.
Exactly. It's a very, very small one, but it's there.
Dude, so put it in the eyes, he'll go away.
Yeah. So it's classic Warren Ellis. So
what more do you want?
Exactly. Jesus.
Jeez, people, calm down.
Anyways. So finally, I guess that's all we have in terms of that. We just need to do our little anecdotes.
Hello, is a little bit of an anecdote.
So Tom, you've been enjoying the Wild Talents game, the Heroes of New Arcadia, which I will be starting to post very soon because of
New World's over.
New World campaign's over. This will be the next campaign. So anyways.
So yes, as you may or may not have known by reading the thread, I am Kyrop. And we had a session where several of the players weren't there, so we kind of had to. We couldn't really go into our big meta plots because that required other people to be there. So the last session we had was kind of a fun, just a fun, quick one. It was Caleb, Thad, and myself. I think that was it. Mm-hmm. And we did a couple of things I thought were fun. First thing we had to do is we had to convince a metahuman pop star to help us clear out some radiation from a place. And he's made entirely of mushrooms. That alone, just a pop star, a hippie-ish kind of pop star, musician, singer, he's a singer, is made entirely of mushrooms.
Just so you know, the NPC's name is Benjamin, and his power was like Darwin from the X-Men. He could evolve new types of fungus to do whatever he needed to do. So, he was a one fungus man chorus. He'd just grow additional, voice boxes and everything, and he could obviously grow fungus that could eat radiation. So
and we found that too cool for words. We'll be forcing Ross to use more of him. How dare you make fun NPCs that we enjoy?
I know.
But what was really great is what we had to do to get his get him to agree. We'll have his agent agree to let him do this. We had to kill an evil assassin. And this was not. This was
evil assassins wanted to use the fungus man to make drugs for them
after lobotomizing him.
Yeah, so
which doesn't even we don't even know if that's even possible.
Well, they had magic. They're confident of a way. So But anyways, go on.
So we had to find this assassin and convince him to stop pursuing the target. Well, we know how us PCs interpreted that. We have to kill him. We don't negotiate. We don't negotiate with Al-Qaeda. So we actually had to track this guy down to his workplace, which was a meatpacking plant. Which, of course, and it was at this point, by the way, that I apparently had the best line of the night. So I said, so essentially what we need to do is we have to somehow track down the meatpacking plant in the city that would hire undocumented Hispanic workers. This is what you're telling me. Everyone agreed. Tom gets a point for that. I was proud of that moment.
Because the assassin was Hispanic.
Yes.
He's Mexican. So.
They were from a drug gang.
They were actually the Santa Muerta assassins, for they worship Santa Muerta, the Saint of Death, which is an actual real thing that the narco-terrorists do.
Yes, indeed.
And that was Tom's cell phone.
Yes, indeed. And we fought them before. You will experience them as the campaign goes on. So we, tracked the guy. We decided to track the guy down at work because we decided a guy this good at stealth, if he left the workplace, we would never see him again. And I don't want to tell you, you're going to have to, wait for the episode to come up, but it was, I will just say, it was just a touch one-sided.
Well, you ambushed him 3-1 in
and we also
broad daylight.
We had INS with us, Homeland Security.
You didn't have them for the takedown. You took him down. It was just 3 superheroes versus him. He wasn't. You ambushed him. I mean, you got the drop.
We ambushed the assassin.
Yeah,
that was very dishonorable.
No, I'm just saying it was a very one-sided fight because of that. I mean,
I was being facetious, Ross.
I see.
You didn't get what I was doing, did you?
No.
I'm sure the listeners did.
Oh, obviously, my hay fever
you're a
is
monster.
just driving me mad. So,
well, it does that. It makes you crazy.
Obviously. So, it was a very entertaining little foray. So,
it's all
just
good.
a little hint of the things that will come in 2012 or whatever. So, because
by the way, I'll also say if you ever find yourself in a legal bind, need someone on your side to represent you in court, hire the rabbit.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to say about that. Hire the rabbit.
The best lawyer they found is a magical rabbit. So, based on the trickster archetype. So that will talk about cliches. Oh my God, trickster rabbit.
Whackity schmackity doo.
Anyway, so this has been RPPR episode 60. It's not the cliche. So
you did it again. Awesome.
I know.
I don't think I get you to do it twice.
I know. I'm just Oscar. I'm an award-winning author, Tom. I've had many times.
It's not a cliche.
Yes. There you go.
I can make my voice deeper.
Remember to vote for Road Trip on any-awards.com/vote, and we'll see you guys next time.